Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. It's finally August, so if you live in the northern hemisphere, I think some of you is going to take a break from work, and this is a good chance, to dedicate to your passion and to maybe test new tools and devices for making music. That's why in this video I want to show you my favorite effects that I'm currently using in pretty much every project of mine. Let's get started. The first effects bundle that I want to talk about is by UVI, a French company which I knew a few months ago when I did a video about percussions on my Patreon. One of my community members suggested me their plugin Percussions Factory, which is a sequencer for acoustic percussions. When I did the teaser for Instagram of that video on Patreon, UVI contacted me because I tagged them and they asked me to try their effects bundle. So I said yes, even though at the beginning I thought, okay, it's the usual, effects bundle with reverb, chorus, flanger, phaser, whatever. It is those effects. But when I started to use them on my sounds, I fell in love. They sound really good. I really like them. So let's have a look at them. Right, so I won't go through all of them. There are 9 effects in the bundle. There are a few effects that I really love. The other ones I still didn't use them enough. I will show you my favorite ones. The first sound that I want to show you is this amazing pad here. It sounds like this. So this pad is made with the CZ by Arturia, but I had these 2 effects from UVI on top of it, relayer and phaser. So let's have a look at the sound without these 2 effects. So it sounds already warm, but I think it could be opened a little bit and can be add a little bit of movement. So the first thing that I added is relayer. It looks complicated at first, but in the end, if you have a look at some video tutorials, there are some good ones on YouTube. It's very easy to understand. You have 2 things, time, repeats and feedback. So basically you can have a normal delay, so putting repeats to 1 and then you have feedback. So it keeps repeating the same thing for the feedback time that you assign, or you can do more repetitions. So basically it repeats the same time 8 times, but each time it repeats it, you can assign different parameters. So you can assign a different gain, a different panning, different effects on the different repetitions. Each repetition then it repeats again based on the feedback time. And this is the main different things from other delays, okay? There are a lot of very nice presets. So I applied these presets, which again, this is without. This is with. So it opens the sound up. It adds this lo-fi sound. As you can see here, it says the name of the preset is lo-fi. On the repetition, you have a beat reduction. This is what creates this sound, okay? And then I have phaser, which adds the phaser effect. Now it starts moving. One super cool thing about this phaser is that you can use the drive to add saturation, but you could keep the depth at 0. So basically you just use it as a drive. So check it out. This is without the drive and without the phaser. If I add the drive, the sound becomes way warmer, okay? So not that much, just a little bit, and then we increase the depth. So it starts moving. I love it. Okay. Moving to other sounds here, I have these drone sounds that I use to cover the background. That sounds like this. You hear it moves a little bit and it creates a pad in the background. Again, this is made with a UVI device called a drone. This is included in their instruments. It's not part of the effects bundle. On top of this, I added their effect shade, so I can show you shade in action. So shade moves like this. So you can see there's a filter that moves and they create a movement in the sound, which without would be focused in the center. Then I have my Profit. This is the chain that I added of effects from UVI. So what do we have here? Plate. This as reverb basically. You can hear the tail. Then we have again relayer. And then Taurus, which is a chorus to add some warmth to the sound. Here on the Microhouse Tools part, basically I added the double delay X. It creates this glitchy repetition. Let me show you this stuff in the background. And then plate reverb again. The last one from UVI that I want to show you is Rotary. This is another ambient track that I'm working on. Sounds like this. And this, I add Rotary on this sound, which originally sounds like this. With Rotary, sounds more lo-fi. So Rotary adds this modulation because a real Rotary is like a sort of wheel that spins and that moves through the speaker, and so creates this weird effect and phasing effect. So, and again here on the organ I have a shade effect, so without, it's very with, just to create some movement. Now the second effect that I'm really enjoying at the moment is Trackspacer by Waves Factory. It's a plugin that I've been hearing about for a lot of time, but I waited so long to buy it because I was relying on the kick-bass sidechain with Ableton compressor, which is pretty good, it works good. But then with Waves Factory, I learned a new type of compressor, which is based on compressing just the frequencies that are actually disturbing the sound. So let's have an example of it. So the most simple use is again as a kick bass sidechain. So I put this Trackspacer on my bass line here. Just a quick tip, if you are on Mac, don't use the audio unit because the sidechain options won't show up. Use the VST3. So here is Trackspacer. As you can see here, I assigned the kick as a sidechain. Each time the kick plays, you will see the frequency range which the kick is messing with the bass line, which is around here. So what happens is that instead of sidechaining, so instead of ducking all of the frequency range, you just take down the volume in this frequency range that you see here. So on kick bass, this is not a big deal. I mean, also the sidechain compressor with the Ableton compressor was working fine with me. But where this comes handy is on other applications where you want to duck, for example, a loop which has many sounds, so many different frequencies, and you want to duck just one single sound, one single frequency range. So for example, I have this loop here. So as you can see, there is a snare on top of that. These snares, when I add my main snare of the track, becomes a little bit too loud. So what I did is connecting the sidechain to my main snare so that when my main snare plays, it takes down the frequencies in that range. So in this first option, there is not my main snare playing, so you hear this. When my snare starts playing, you hear this ducking. So if I add my main snare, there is space for it without building up the volume, the levels in that specific frequency range. So this is the use that I really like of this plugin, and you can apply this to many different type of cases. This plugin is now on sale on Plugin Boutique. It's 50% off. 25 euros, and you find the link in the description if you want to buy it. The third plugin that I want to show you is Shaperbox 3 by Cable Guys. It's another multi-effect plugin. It's made of 9 different modules plus 2, let's say, utilities. So here you have time, which is for creating glitches, scratches and stuff. Drive, distortion, noise simulator, filter, liquid. This is sort of flanger. crush, bit crusher, volume automations, panning, and width. Plus you have compressor and oscilloscope. If you have a look here, it has more than 700 presets. I've used this on many different examples to, you know, spice up a little bit my sounds. For example, in this track here, I have this cowbell that sounds like this. With Shaperbox, this turns into this. This is a preset called Bubble Adder. I also used it on this hi-hat loop, which originally was sounding quite boring like this. So very simple. With Shaperbox, I used this Scratch Fill 2 preset. So it creates this little modulation. I don't even mention how fun it could be on synths. So let's suppose you find a nice loop from a sample pack and you just want to cut away the kick. This utility on Shaperbox is very nice and easy to use. So I will take again this loop from my track here. And I go here and look for kick trimmer. As you can see, it applies 3 volumes automations, 3 volume envelopes divided on 3 different frequency ranges. So this is how it sounds. And then you can resample, cut the kick, and use it in your track. It's an enormous amount of stuff in this plugin, so of course it takes time to find your favorite presets or to build your own, but it's something that it's for sure in my toolbox. The last 2 effects is something that I won't spend too much time on, because if you watch my older videos, you surely found me talking about them. Tantra and Guitar Rig 6, they are 2 multi-effects plugins, and I think they are my favorite effects ever. So let's start from Tantra. Tantra is a multi-effect with 7 effects. You have filter, distortion, delay, lo-fi, which is a big crusher, flanger, glitch, and reverb. And then you also have an EQ. The cool thing about Tantra is that each parameter can be modulated with these step sequencers. You can have up to 8 different step sequencers modulating different parameters of the plugin. So you just double click add modulation, you decide which one you want to send to, and you create the modulation. The thing that I'm liking most about it is randomizing all the parameters with this dice, but you can randomize also the single effects, and you can also lock some of the parameters so that they're not affected by the randomization. I use it mainly on pads, vocals, drums, but also I use it on one-shots to create transitional effects. I made a video talking about it that you can find up here. I will just show you an example, because then you just have to take the plugin, throw it on something, and see what it does. So this is the same pad that I have on my ambient track, so that originally sounds like this. With Tantra, this turns into this. So sort of dubby style pad. So, or I have another one here. So this is an example, but I also use it on percussions, so I think I have something here as well. Yeah, this thing that I built with Micro House tools, again, I have 2 instances of Tantra on it. So I create this, you know, filter modulation that adds rhythm to your groove. So when you have a boring groove that doesn't sound, you know, rhythmated, you can add an instance of Tantra on it, and it really turns into something cool. Guitar Rig is pretty much the same thing. It's my other option when I want to spice up a sound or to revolutionize, is that a word? A sound. It can really change what you hear through the effects that are included in Guitar Rig. It was originally thought for guitar, but you can actually apply it to everything. So you can compose your presets just by looking at all the components you can choose from. These are all different effects units, and you can put them in series. You can add modulations. You have a lot of freedom. I don't build my own effects unless I have to do something very simple. So for example, this is sounding like this without the effect. So it's cool, but it needs something more. So with Guitar Rig, it adds this beautiful thing, but we could try another preset and see what happens. Sounds cool. I use it a lot. On pads is good. On pads, it gives its best. Also on vocals. So whenever you feel your track is a bit stuck, whenever you feel your pad is a little bit boring and your drums don't move enough, try one of these 4 effects: UVI, shades, if you want to add a little bit of movement, Guitar Rig 6, Tantra, Shaperbox. These are good on everything. The other effects from UVI, I love them on pads mainly. I love them on drums. Those are effects to enrich the sounds. They don't revolutionize your sound. They don't change it completely, but they really enrich it and warm it up. Apart from shade, which can change your sound. Wave Shaper is a utility. It's a nice thing that I'm using. It's cheap, so it's worth buying. All of these plugins, you find the links in the description. Some of those links are affiliated, some are not. So if you buy from the affiliate links, you know that you are also supporting my work on the channel. Thanks, guys. I hope this video was fun, and I hope to see you next time. Have a good holiday, and I'll see you in September probably. See you soon.